What is up, YouTube world? Believe it or not, this is going to be my 7th, 8th try doing this video because the phone keeps doing some crazy stuff. And then it was actually going pretty well the last try, but I was talking way too much. So a friend wanted me to recap on the carbon and stuff like that. And yeah, let's talk about that real quick. And I apologize if you guys see a really big mess. I still gotta clean up a little bit, empty the trash, get the stuff off the table, clean up the house. So I apologize if you guys see a mess. I'm getting to it. I'm working on it. Get distracted by these beautiful saltwater tanks and working on it. See all that mess on the table? Damn, I had like Burger King the other day or some shit. Alright, so let's talk about the carbon. I'm using 2 pounds of regular carbon, and I'm also using Chemi-Pure. Not the right amount though, because it's a 60-gallon unit, and Chemi-Pure is actually a little bit more expensive than regular carbon. So I'm using what's rated up to about 50 gallons of Chemi-Pure, and then I'm using about 2 pounds of regular carbon, which is more than enough for 60 gallons unit, you know. So this is 40 gallons, 20 gallons sump, got about 60 gallons all in total, and using 2 pounds of carbon to filter it all. Now, when you do saltwater tank and you have a small system, you know, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 gallon tanks, to do a partial water change on that, it's not too bad, you know, once a week. Doesn't cost you that much in salt. But when you start to work with anything over, you know, 60 gallons, getting into 75, 100, 120, to do a water change on that, it costs a lot of money in salt. And you have to do a water change once a week. It's no different than fresh water. Nitrates build up, you know, stuff builds up on the top, so you gotta change it. So salt is expensive, so there's more things we can do with saltwater tank than you can do with freshwater tank. So there's like this thing called a protein skimmer. Alright, so this is a protein skimmer, and when you throw food into a aquarium, freshwater or saltwater, doesn't matter, and the fish eat it and then they poop it out or whatever, there is going to be waste in the water. Alright, so in a freshwater tank you start getting this film build up on the top. You ever notice a film build up on top? And some people will go as far as buying a surface skimmer. Works pretty well. I actually have a surface skimmer on the freshwater tank in my other room, but that only does so much. So once a week we do a water change, right? But on a saltwater tank, to do a water change once a week, this requires salt. Salt is expensive. When you go to Petco and you buy a 5-gallon instant ocean aquarium salt, which is pretty good, it's going to cost you, I think they sell it for 80 bucks. So it's very expensive. It's very expensive. So you want top filtration to help you reduce water changes. So in my opinion, a protein skimmer is very important. It's not necessary, because let's say you have a 40-gallon saltwater tank, you know, that is manageable to do, you know, water changes. But when you're working with 100-gallon, or even, my opinion is if it's bigger than 60 gallons, you should do everything in your power to make it so you're not doing as much water changes. So protein skimmer, the difference, or the reason why this works on a saltwater tank and why it doesn't work on a freshwater tank, is because in a freshwater tank is the salinity. There just isn't enough tension in the water. So when air bubbles happen in a freshwater tank, they're nice and big and round and they do whatever. So protein doesn't actually have the time to stick to it as well or efficient, or it just doesn't do anything. Like if I put this on a freshwater tank, it wouldn't do anything, you know what I mean? So it's just not efficient. On a saltwater tank, the salinity, the tension is so great that it's basically microscopic air bubbles, and there are millions and trillions and billions of them compared into a freshwater tank. So they're very microscopic, and proteins actually stick to it, and as it comes up, the way it's designed, I don't know if you can see, but let's get really close to it so the screen turns sideways. But you see, those are the bubbles coming out, and it's just collecting through that cup, and it's really nasty and gritty and stinky. But it works. So the phone is about to die, so I'm going to hurry up. But yeah, so the protein skimmer is very important to remove the protein. Refugium, very important in my opinion, because it's microalgae, it's algae, But it's like Texophilia algae, so it looks pretty cool. And Kato, see that Kato spinning? Kind of hard to see, but it's spinning nicely. It's doing great, working beautifully. So this will help reduce nutrients like nitrates and phosphates and stuff like this. So this is very important too, to reduce water changes so your nutrients doesn't go up. So in a saltwater tank and a freshwater tank, when you're working with them, in a freshwater tank you're trying to oxygenate the whole tank because you have fish in there and they need to breathe, alright? And when you have a very oxygenated tank, you're not going to grow anaerobic bacteria unless you have a tank with a 8-inch sand bed. But who wants that? Because then you're just looking at all sand and then a little bit of water, alright? So it's really hard to get anaerobic bacteria to grow in a freshwater tank. Anaerobic bacteria finishes the nitrogen cycle. In a saltwater tank, it's a little bit easier to grow anaerobic bacteria because they're more bigger into sumps and they're more bigger into live rocks, like rock in general, that are very porous and stuff like that. So there's more of a chance for anaerobic bacteria to grow. So if you ever seen a sump with a really big sand bed, like there's a compartment with just a really big sand bed, that's the purpose of it, because there's anaerobic in the middle of that sand bed, or in the bottom of it, just eating away at nitrates and turning it into nitrogen gas, and it just evaporates into the atmosphere. So these rocks are really big, and they are really big rocks, and the reason why I chose big rocks, so in the middle of this big rock, anaerobic bacteria can grow and thrive and eat the nitrates and turn into nitrogen gas, and it goes into the atmosphere and finishes the nitrogen cycle. Right? And this also helps with that as well. Aerobic bacteria grows on everything because aerobic bacteria needs oxygen to live. So it grows on the glass, it grows on the surface of the rock, on the substrate, it grows everywhere. Just like in a freshwater tank, it grows everywhere. But it only takes care of ammonia and nitrite and turns it into nitrate. If I have nitrite and nitrate backwards, I apologize, but you know, we're going from ammonia to nitrite to nitrate. I think I got that in the correct order. So yeah, aerobic bacteria only takes care of ammonia and nitrite. Anaerobic bacteria takes care of nitrite and turns it into nitrogen gas, which finishes the nitrogen cycle. So you want big rocks, you want a big sand bed, or you want a refugium with microalgae to take care of the nitrates and the unnecessary nutrients to keep everything under 5 parts per million. But there are still corals, and there's still, depending on what you put in the food and maybe you waste products and stuff like that, you still can have discoloration because corals defend themselves. They put toxins in the water, and carbon remove toxins. ChemiPure does a little bit better job of that, but carbon does it as well. It removes impurities from the water. So there was a myth about how long regular carbon can last, and I really think that myth is incorrect. I don't think it, you know, what it absorbs, it releases back within a couple days. I really don't think that. I think what it absorbs, it holds, and it definitely holds it for up to 4 months. 4 weeks, I'm sorry, 4 weeks. Definitely holds it up to 4 weeks. After the 3rd week, I ended up starting to feed my tank a little bit heavier because I wanted the process going a little bit faster for that water to get discolored, to just speed it up, and I just wanted to put new carbon in there. Just wanted to see the water actually discolor. So I fed every single day, which the system was not used to, so the protein skimmer actually went to overdrive. And I actually have a little bit of a waste buildup. So if you look really close, you can see some cyanobacteria algae growing. Very, very minimum though, like just a little bit there. So I might actually have to do another water change. Just barely though. But that's probably because I fed every single day. I'm talking about krill, fish, plankton for a week straight, just to make that carbon get exhausted and not absorb anything anymore, to get that water to discolor and to, you know, get the test over with, I guess. I just wanted to see the water get discolored. So in my opinion, the carbon is very important to change once a month, because on a heavy load it will, you know, last definitely a month, in my opinion, because when I did take the water out. It wasn't that horrible. I mean, it could have maybe made it 5 weeks. So according to the directions on my carbon, it says it lasts anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. So definitely read your instructions on your carbon, how much to use, the proper amount, and how long it lasts for, because different carbons last for longer and some are not as long, depending on grade of the carbon. So top filtration, replace carbon to keep that water crystal clean. Carbon, crystal clean water. Protein skim to remove the fats and nastiness from the water. And refugium to keep the nutrients in check. With these three things, protein skimmer, refugium, and carbon, you should have pristine water quality. Now, sometimes when you go crazy and you love to feed, things can get out of hand a little bit. So I will look into why I got a little bit of a cyanobacteria algae going on, but that just means a little bit too much waste got put in, and I honestly did feed every day for a week straight. I mean, you're supposed to only put plankton in there once a week, and I put it in there every week. I mean, every day, man. I apologize. I'm saying 4 months instead of 4 weeks, and I'm mixing my words. I apologize. I don't even know why I haven't even drank yet. But yes, I've been putting plankton in every day for a week straight when you're only supposed to put it in once a week. So it really did get a lot of waste. But the system's strong. Even with me putting all that food in it, the nitrates or the nutrients levels, and I have almost every test,